I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us here on Closing Arguments. To understand what happened to Madeline Soto, the life that she lived, the hand that she was dealt, will break your heart. Absolutely break your heart. Here she is putting on a smile one of her last day on earth. It's her 13th birthday party. And what we've learned since, allegations that she had been sexually abused for years by a man that was put into her life by her own mother. Her mother's boyfriend, this man, Stephan Sterns, in his ultra Photoshop filtered picture over there next to Madeline. He's been charged with sexually abusing her. He's been charged with her murder. And now he's been charged or will be facing the death penalty for that murder. I want to put up on the screen what was filed in part by the state of Florida as they are seeking the death penalty. They believe that there are sufficient aggravating circumstances to justify the imposition of the death penalty. The state will be requesting the death penalty should the defendant be convicted in this case. And the aggravating factors that they are citing, the defendant was previously convicted of another felony. There, I believe they're referring to the sexual abuse allegations and all those images that were found on his phone. That trial will happen first. Capital felony was committed during the commission of aggravated child abuse. What does that tell us? The capital felony was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. What does that tell us about what happened to Madeline? And the victim was particularly vulnerable due to her age, or the defendant stood in a position of familial custodial authority. He held himself out as her stepfather, words out of his mouth and out of Madeline's mother's mouth that can now be used against him as an aggravating factor towards the death penalty in this case. So who is this guy? What do we know about him? We don't know a ton, but we've heard him speak in several different contexts. So let's take a moment to listen to the words of the accused child killer, child sex abuser, now facing the death penalty, Stephan Sterns.
She had a happy weekend. She just turned 13. She had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together here, and she was just very happy. She was a happy kid. She's very sweet. She's a very sweet girl. I dropped her off early. I could have waited longer. She looked okay. She was walking towards the school when I saw her. It was like any other day, so I went on with my day.
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Instead, we believe she was already dead at the time.
We don't know where she could be, and we're scared. We just want her home, just not knowing.
So the unknown is killing you?
Yeah, it's like our whole world is upside down.
We have video evidence that shows Stephan Sterns discarding items in a dumpster. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster.
We could see the overpass from where it was. So it was on that side, on that stretch of road, and that's where I dropped her off. And she said she was going to go wait for her friends. She was going to find them and hang out and wait for her friends. And I asked if that was going to be okay. She said, yeah, it's fine. Kids get dropped off early enough as it is. It's not totally unusual for that to happen. It's just not usually that early that I drop her off. I do school runs every once in a while for her. I said, okay. Let her out. Have a good day. Love you. Thanks. Love you too.
I can't remember the exact spot, but it was around where these communities were. Oh, thank you. So it's like around where these communities were.
Okay.
And it's just like in this stretch, like we could see the overpass down there.
Where's the school?
Just on the other side of the overpass.
2105. So somewhere around here.
So yeah, somewhere, maybe not this one, but the next one possibly is right in this stretch. We just came down and we drove about halfway down. She was like, that's good right here.
Well, I was walking in that direction. She was rifling through her backpack, just looking for something. I thought maybe she was just looking for headphones before she got to walking on.
Yeah.
But she was just kind of, shambling over in that direction. It looked the same as any other morning.
Don't know why they don't do that. Why don't they just kind of like at least give you a blanket,
My core temperature was down. Lieutenant took me, there was like a degree or two lower than it should have been.
Wow.
Couldn't regulate. Sleeping on bare metal. The first night I was on concrete floor with a roll of toilet paper for a pillow and nothing else. Begging for a blanket or a pad to sleep on for like 2 days. I think they were supposed to do stuff like that.
She brings a lot of joy. She's a very good girl. It definitely doesn't feel the same around here if she's not here. She was so happy, too. She was looking forward to my visit here. She was looking forward to us all being together. She was just happy. She was just very happy. I loved her like she was my own. I don't recall us going anywhere last night, but honestly, at that point, my brain was mush, and I was on so many tranquilizers to keep me stable. I was having these rolling panic attacks and breaking down crying, and it was the only way I could get to sleep last night.
Not feeling her presence here is... Sorry. It's hard.
I can't stand it when he says she's happy. We know these pictures exist. We know what happened. It's not a mystery. It's not like, oh, we're trying to piece it together. We've got images of what was happening to this child for years. She was not happy. She was not happy. She did not love you. She wanted to go live in the woods to get away from you. All right. Let me bring in our special guest. Joining us tonight in Orlando, Florida, retired judge of the 9th Judicial Circuit, the Honorable Belvin Perry, America's judge. Joining us on the phone tonight, WFTV investigative reporter Shannon Butler. Also joining us in Orlando, editor of the Osceola News-Gazette, Ken Jackson. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Judge, I'll begin with you. How does this change things now that this is a death penalty case? And also, please, let the folks at home know whether or not some judge somewhere in Florida is going to make this guy appear in a courtroom at some point, because it hasn't happened yet.
Vinny, this development, filing of the notice to seek the death penalty, will bring about the possibility of punishing him for the horrific acts that he committed upon this young lady. I will tell you this, that he will be forced to come into the courtroom for what I call major hearings. He will not be allowed just to sit back in his cell and disobey the court's order. They're not going to, force him in there for an arraignment or anything else, but he is about to meet his day of reckoning.
Shannon Butler, some of the things that I saw in the state's intent to seek the death penalty, mentioning capital felony was committed during the commission of aggravated child abuse. The capital felony was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Do we or have we learned any more details about how he allegedly took her life? Because this description here of these aggravating factors seem to indicate that something really horrible was going on.
I do have some information from sources who have told me how they decided to seek the death penalty. We were expecting today that the state attorney's office was going to release about 1,000 pages worth of discovery. That information, what police have gathered and law enforcement has gathered, that the state will use for this case to prosecute Stephan Sterns. We believe that they have determined that Madeline Soto was strangled, and that it was the cause of death. We also believe that they have quite a bit of video evidence after the fact on that route from the house to where Madeline's body was found. In that discovery that we are expecting as early as, well, it's supposed to be today, as tomorrow, it will give us a lot more information about the pieces that were missing. There's a gap there, right, from when he reported her missing to when her body was found. We do not know what happened the night before. They believe that she was killed overnight before 7 o'clock in the morning, but we don't have those kinds of details. We are expecting those 1,000 pages will fill in some of those gaps for us.
Ken Jackson, that's such a big question here, right? The actual time of this murder, because it seemingly would impact Jen Soto as well, because she's on record saying that she saw her getting dressed that morning. She's on video, we saw her saying, oh no, she was wearing black shorts. Like, she knew what she was wearing that morning, is what she's telling investigators and police. So the time is extremely important. What questions do you have that you hope will be answered by the release of this information?
Well, Vinny, what we've received so far this week has been the list of the evidence. It is a long list. I wasn't aware it was going to be 1,000 pages, but okay. Something that I find interesting is that in the video that you showed in the lead up to this, there is the police body cam of Stephan Sterns talking about what sounded like an area of a residential area that he dropped Madeline off that Monday morning. All along, he's been saying he dropped her off at the church, which is just on the other side of the overpass from the school, where it appears that he is. I've driven that road a couple times since this investigation began. He's still about a half mile away from that church. So, you know, this brings another kind of question as to what he said that they did that morning. I mean, this is a story that he's rehearsed a couple of times, but yeah, we still have a gap of from the birthday party Sunday night to Monday morning as far as when she actually passed away.
Judge, the law has changed in Florida for the death penalty. It's no longer unanimous down in Florida. So suddenly the road to death row has gotten a little bit easier for prosecutors.
You're exactly right. It was next to impossible to get a unanimous vote of death. That is very difficult to do. In my nearly 40 years as a prosecutor and a judge, I've only seen that happen in a couple of cases. But the state now has an easier road. And based upon the evidence that will come out, particularly with strangulation, it fits the definition of heinous, atrocious, and cruel. And you lock in the fact of the aggravated child abuse, it is not looking very good for this defendant who is about to earn everything that he did in this particular case. The big question is, when will the mom step forward and tell the truth?
Yeah, and we have only about 20 seconds. Shannon Butler, I just wanted to finish with you. In this information that we expect to get tomorrow, do you anticipate learning a lot more about Jen Soto?
I don't. I think this is going to focus mostly on Stephan Sterns. I don't have a lot of confidence right now that there are targeting her. At least at this point, things can change. But from what I'm being told, it seems like this will focus solely on him, which just leaves more questions for us about what Jen knew or didn't know.
All right. Big thank you, Judge Belvin Perry, Shannon Butler, WFTV, Ken Jackson, the Osceola News-Gazette. Great to see you all. Appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to talk more about all these developments in the Madeline Soto case. We'll bring in our think tank.
They took an oath to protect and serve.
But now this former police officer is accused of murder.
We'll take you inside the courtroom as Miles Bryant faces a jury.
The Taken Teen murder trial, weekday mornings on Court TV. This week,
we're getting you all ready for the major trials. Plus, Friday, our voice for the victims shines a light on the mystery behind the murders at an upscale shopping mall.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Mornings at 8, 7 Central on Court TV. Oh.
We have a very strong bond. But, you know, I'm the person she goes to when her mom gets in a fight with her and she needs someone to comfort her. And like, I'm that person for her, you know. This girl knows nothing but love here in this house.
Come on. I mean, we're listening to this. We're listening to the words of this man and what he's accused of and what was found on his phone. Oh, yeah, there's nothing but love in this house. I comfort her. I comfort her when she's got problems with her mom. Now, the problem in her life is you. So let's walk through what happened here. So Stephan Sterns, this man right here, was indicted by the grand jury for first-degree murder on April 24th. Now, you know there's other charges here, right? The murder charges will actually be the second trial. The first one involved all of this battery and molestation over the course of years. Now remember, it's an on-again, off-again relationship that he's having with Jen Soto, Madeline's mother. And you're wondering, and I'm wondering how much these dates connect to that. And you wonder if this is all of the abuse that there was, because this is just based upon what they were able to retrieve from his phone. You know, did he do it without recording it? Did he do it without taking photos? And by the way, has he ever shared any of these photos on the Telegram app or other places? I think that is still unknown at this point. But this was going on forever. Take a look at the timeline here. You go back to 2018, and this is when he first appears on Jen Soto's Facebook page, so he's kind of like in her life. The first alleged battery, again, these are all based just on what he has recorded, is June 19th of 2019. She's 8 years old. This is an 8-year-old girl. And then you look at the final alleged battery, June 29th of 2023. But look at all of those in between. All of those in between. And then hundreds and hundreds of images and videos on this phone that he kept. And remember, he tried to, according to investigators, erase all of this. Before he handed over his phone voluntarily, he said, I'm sorry, but I accidentally did a factory reset on my phone yesterday when I was trying to do something with it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, who accidentally does a factory reset? Nobody. But despite the accidental factory reset, they still forensically were able to get all of these images from that footprint. Here's a breakdown of the charges. So, sexual battery on a child under 12, 8 counts. That's significant. Sexual battery with a child 12 to 18, 5 counts. Lewd or lascivious molestation, 7 counts. Unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child, 10 or more images, 40 counts. So that's like more than 400 images right there. And I wouldn't say it's sexual performance, it's sexual abuse. I don't know why they call it sexual performance. It's sexual abuse of a child. But under 12, all of that under Florida's law makes you eligible for the death penalty. But the death penalty that they're seeking is not for these charges. This is going to be the first trial. If they get a conviction on this trial, they will use this conviction as one of the aggravating factors in the second case during the penalty phase, if he's convicted of the murder, as a reason, one of the reasons, to send him to death row. So when you piece together these two cases, They are absolutely connected, but they will be separate trials. And the one involving the images, like, there's no defense for it. What is the defense? It doesn't exist. It's the easiest case a prosecutor can try, even though no case is 100%. Stay with us. Up next.
What about Madeline's mother, Jen Soto? Will she be a witness or a co-defendant? Our think tank will break it down.
Does she have a phone number or a phone?
She does, but she left it at home today. I have it.
You have it?
And I've already gone through her messages.
Okay. How about, does she have like Apple Watch?
She's got a device. The only device she's got on her right now is her school laptop.
Her school laptop? Is that trackable?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Mom is calm there. I mean, and she's able to communicate. She's able to answer the questions. She's not hysterical. She's not desperate. But at that point, it's about 12 hours that her daughter's allegedly, like, missing. And that desperation's not there. Jen was a single mom. Madeline's father married someone else, lived in another state, you know, had a relationship with her, but she's sort of raising her on her own, although she had this on-again, off-again live-in boyfriend, now accused murderer Stephan Sterns, in her life. I want to read a piece of one of the reports where Jen is being interviewed and stating some things, according to investigators. Jen stated that her and Stephan had been dating on and off for approximately 7 years, okay? Jen stated while they were together, they would either all sleep in the same bed, or Madeline would sleep with her when Stephan was not there. When asked if it was normal for Stephan and Madeline to sleep together without her being there, she said yes. Jen stated if she needed a good night's sleep due to her anxiety, she would ask them, meaning her boyfriend Stephan and her daughter Madeline, to sleep in a different bedroom. And then Stephan stated Madeline always needed human contact when going to sleep. Stephan referred to it as snuggling. Prosecutors have referred to it as sexual abuse. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us, trial attorney and fellow of the American College Trial Lawyers, Ann Bremner. Also with us, trial attorney, former police lieutenant Rick King, and criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor Michael Sterling. Great to see everyone tonight. Ann Bremner, we're speaking with Shannon Butler, investigative reporter down in Orlando. She feels that all the focus is on Stephan Sterns. She's not anticipating anything happening to Jen Soto. Are you surprised, or do you think more could still happen in all of this?
I think more could still happen. Don't you? I mean, she's not desperate. This is her child is missing. And I'm sorry. I mean, I snuggle with my cats, but this whole snuggling and being in the bed with the boyfriend, it just doesn't pass the smell test. But maybe I was a sex abuse prosecutor for too long. Rick King,
what are your thoughts here? Because there's so much focus on, whenever you talk about this case, like Stephan Sterns, the evidence seemingly, if you believe what we've learned from prosecutors so far, is overwhelming, like overwhelming evidence. But a lot of focus is on Mom and her reaction, her lack of reaction, and then this strange sleeping arrangement under her roof, seemingly with her blessing, to send her boyfriend with her daughter to another bedroom.
Right. As you were speaking, Vinny, the word overwhelming was the word that I was searching for too when we talked about the evidence against Stephan. But when it comes to the mom, you know, what really gets me is the timing of the events as she laid them out. When she says she sees her getting dressed in the morning and the conflicting times with when they see him dumping her property. It's those things that for me give me a little pause. And it's also her affect when it comes to 12 hours later, when you see her here in this video, and she's not anxious, she's not excited. She is far too calm for a mom whose daughter's been missing for 12 hours.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. And there is one point where she corrects Stephan about what she was wearing, Michael. Like, Stephan says, oh, she's wearing this, and she says, no, she was wearing black shorts. So mom is like verifying that, yes, I saw her getting dressed for school. I saw what she was wearing in that moment. That's what I heard. So how important, Michael, will it be for investigators to figure out when Madeline was murdered? Like, if this timeline doesn't add up for Jen Soto, does it become a problem?
Yes, Vinny. I think it does become a problem for her if the timeline doesn't add up. Because when you add in all of the when you add in the totality of the circumstances and all of everything that's around, when you look at her reaction, when you look at that correction she's making to him, when you look at the timeline, the conflicting stories, as Rick pointed out, that becomes extremely relevant and important. What is the timeline? Where were you at? What were you doing? And what was your level of involvement in permitting this sort of awkward arrangement, to say the least? I think that timeline becomes critical, and depending on that timeline, as investigators continue to do their job, I think Jen Soto should have at least some concerns if I'm her lawyer.
All right, and take a listen. This is Jen being interviewed by WFTV, and this is at the moment where her daughter is missing but has not been found yet.
We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. She was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school, but she never made it.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it. I wasn't the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner. But yeah, in my heart, I feel like somebody took her. This isn't like her to just pick up and run away, or just not go to school. I don't know what to think. She was last seen wearing a green hoodie, black shorts, white Crocs, a black JanSport backpack with gray hibiscus flowers on it. She got dropped off in the morning. We did not notice until after school pickup at 4 o'clock when I went to go pick her up, and she wasn't at school.
Even the phraseology for me is problematic. She was last seen wearing, like she's a police officer. No offense, Rick, but she sounds like a police officer there. I mean, like, you know, you want the world to find your daughter, and I'm not feeling it. But again, I don't know her. We never met her before all of this, but it just doesn't seem. It's awkward. Ann?
Oh yeah, very awkward, and the detail, you know, last seen wearing, and then the thing that really got me is when all of a sudden she says, like, Eureka, I think someone took her. You know, she's so like interested in basically deflecting anything from the partner and being rational and everything else, but very robotic, just the facts, man, like they used to say in that show. And like you said, like she's a police officer. Like she's just reading from a narrative in a report.
Rick, I want to show you a moment. This is from the body camera of one of the responding deputies who was just trying to get some of the basic information about this missing child. And we're going to talk about, you know, the mood in the room and the way the vibe really. Let's watch.
What's her name?
Madeline. Madeline.
Madeline.
Last name?
Soto.
S-O-T-O.
S-O-T-O?
Yeah.
Date of birth?
February 22nd, 2011.
How tall is she?
5'1".
Weight?
110 pounds.
110, 112.
Hair color?
Blonde.
Blonde, like a dirty blonde.
Like a dirty blonde?
Yeah.
Okay. Eye color?
Blue.
Any other scars or anything like that? Which
Scars?
No.
Tattoos?
Tattoos? No.
You'd be surprised.
Rick?
It's all very cavalier, man. I don't see any angst or emotion or anything. And you know what's interesting is for me is in the last segment when they were asking her, what's the last conversation you had with your daughter? Vinny, for me, as they were asking the question, and I started just thinking about it, just kind of internalizing what they're asking. For me, I got upset. I was starting to get a little choked up, thinking, what's the last conversation that I would have had with my child before she's missing? Like that makes me feel, a little compassion and sadness. That she was like, she had a birthday party, she had a good time, she liked her presents, and she went on like it was nothing. And I'm here on this side watching it, and I'm getting choked up, and she's not. And that to me is it's telling.